In 30 seconds, you will be witness to one of the greatest online events in the history of, well, online events. Descript proudly brings to you a topic that you deeply care about and whose name is the title of this online event. I'm Don. I am not your host. I am an overdub stock voice included for free with Descript. So, now, let's meet someone who actually works here.
I was muted. Hey, Kevin.
Tiana, what's going on?
How's it going?
I'm all blurry. Hold on. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Just feeling fuzzy on my camera. You know
Yeah,
how it goes. Let's see
I
if it
know how it
works.
goes. Yes, I was muted. You're fuzzy, but we promise everybody tuning in that that is not a foreshadowing for how this event is going to go. It's going to be fun. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and we're talking about Overdub, which is our ultra realistic voice cloning feature here at Descript. I'm Christiana. I'm the community manager, and I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Kevin, our product specialist. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, hello. Great to be here.
Great to have you, and everybody tuning in. Thanks for being here. We're so stoked to talk about this with you. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Say hi, and maybe tell us what you're excited to learn about. And before we jump right in, I figure we'll warm up. And my question for you, Kevin, is if you could have anybody's like stock overdub voice, anybody in the world, alive or dead, who would you pick?
Oh my gosh. In Descript.
Yeah, so like we have stock voices. We'll talk about those in a little bit. But if you could have anyone's in the world,
That's such a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, we've talked about this recently, but I feel like having one of our like a really famous narrator would be really cool to be able to narrate my mundane home videos of
Right.
like my dog doing tricks or something. So having like Morgan Freeman or somewhere like David Attenborough would be pretty hilarious. Do you have one? Have you thought of one?
As I just asked you, like Matthew McConaughey just came to mind because he has like that iconic voice, and I just listened to his audiobook, and it's really powerful. But also, I went to the University of Michigan, and we have this really iconic like pre-game narrator. His name is slipping my mind, but like that is like my most pep talk, you know. So someone, yeah, already people are saying Morgan Freeman's in the chat. So you picked a good one, Kevin, for sure.
Read their minds.
Yes, exactly. James Earl Jones. That is, yes, that's the Michigan one I was talking about. William
If anyone
Shatner.
knows any of these people and they want to just like license their voice, we'll
put us in touch.
Yeah, pay them in Cheez-Its or something.
Exactly. Free Descript and Cheez-Its. So, but now for the real fun. Let's just give everybody a sneak preview really quick of what we're going to talk about. If that sounds good to you, I'm going to share my screen really quick.
Well, Christiana's pulling that up. We are recording this, so just know that you can watch this after the stream, or if you need to jump off, you can watch this later on.
Absolutely.
And Christiana, am I right in that people can still register and watch it after the fact? Or,
yes, yeah. Absolutely. And also we're streaming through Crowdcast right now. That's how we chat with all of you lovely people. But we also record and stream to YouTube. So you can go on our YouTube channel and watch this over and over again. So
awesome.
If you have to head out, no worries. But yes, welcome to Overdub 101 with myself and Kevin. This is what we're going to cover today. So using Overdub, all the different use cases and where you can plug it into your workflow, the differences in Overdub in our plans here at Descript, how to create your own voice. We'll cover privacy and ethics. That's super important to our users and super important to us. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll finish out with the Overdub API. And important to note, we'll save time at the end of the hour for questions. And also feel free to ask them throughout. And cue the reminders. So for all of your questions during this event, we have the lovely Marcelo from our support team in the Ask a Question section. So feel free to ask those questions in there. Hi, Marcelo. And then use the chat for all of your reactions, chatting, commentary, etc. Sometimes Crowdcast will freeze. If that happens, if me and Kevin are suddenly robots, just refresh your browser. And then, like Kevin said, this session is recorded. We will send it out in the follow-up email, and you can find this and all of our other events. If you can't get enough of me and Kevin, are there on our YouTube channel. So that is that. And without further ado, I think I'll pass it over to our fearless demo leader, Kevin, to take it away.
All right. Looks like my camera has decided to be normal again.
Okay.
So cool. All right, we're gonna jump into Overdub. We've done Overdub sessions pretty periodically, especially as things change. Our team that works, our Overdub team and AI learning team, they are often making updates to the model that creates a voice, which improves clarity and recognition, especially in the training process. And at the end of the day, in the terms that we all know, it just makes you sound better with your Overdub voice. So you can use it more frequently. You can use it for longer passages and have it be more transparent. So there's a bunch of new use cases that we've been checking out, and people have been writing in with their workflows. So we're gonna share some of that today. And if you are using Overdub or start to use Overdub in any other way, share it with us on social or Discord or Twitter, and which is social. And we want to hear how you're using Overdub and see the stuff that you're making.
Totally.
We're going to talk a bit about first just what you can do with a free Descript plan. Like what can you do? You download the app, you sign up, and you have Descript and you're ready to go. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do with a free account and a creator account and also a pro account. There's just different levels. But you don't necessarily need to create a synthetic AI voice using our Overdub feature, using your own audio. You can use it using a stock voice that we have built in to start. So we will get into obviously editing with your own voice and creating your own voice, which is pretty magical and useful. But we also have some built-in stock voices. No Darth Vader yet, but we have some great ones that we think you'll like.
Cool.
I'm gonna jump in, start sharing my screen. I am going to use Descript Storyboard today because A, just love it, and B, most of the features, all of the features that we're going to be working through are going to be the same in Storyboard. You know, how we're editing media, how we're writing with Overdub script, with a couple exceptions in that process. So if you have not yet gained access to Descript Storyboard, you can very easily by going to descript.com/storyboard and sign up. It's currently in a preview state, so not fully released to the public. And as you're using Storyboard for editing media or using Overdub, please share your feedback. We'd love to hear it.
Totally. Yeah. And we are actually, so we had a wait list for many weeks, and now anyone who signs up today will automatically get access to Storyboard. So there's no wait. Marcelo just put that link in the chat. So definitely go check it out and tell us what you think.
Cool. As you're using Storyboard, if you click this preview button right here, you can get access to some resources and kind of get jump started in your help.
Exactly.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay. So Overdub is our synthetic AI voice creation. It's our text-to-speech tool. And you can create a voice for yourself using audio or video media to train a model of your own voice. And like I said before, you can use our stock voices, which are real people, voice actors that we hired some time ago to create models of their voice in different styles. And you can use those to create a number of different narrative pieces or a lot of teams and and creators will use them to just kind of test out some narration and hear it back and see how it sounds. But those are always there with all accounts in Descript, and you can use those really easily. We're going to first start talking about creating just by using what we have stock in Descript. So we're going to bring in some text, we're going to type in some narration, and we're going to generate some overdub audio with some of our stock voices. Then we'll go into doing the same with our own voice and maybe doing some editing of recordings. And then we'll kind of loop back around and talk about the creation process. So we'll start by showing off all of the editorial workflows and uses in the app. And then we'll go through and talk about, all the nitty gritty with creating your voice.
Awesome.
Cool.
Full circle.
Love it. As we're going, use ask a question feature to ask questions. Our bud Marcelo will be there to help out, and we'll maybe even bring some on screen and show them in the screen share.
Sweet.
All right, so here's Descript storyboard. This is an empty composition. I've just labeled real quick, and I have a speaker label right here that I'm going to change in a second. And my first step, what I'm going to do, I just want to create some text-to-speech and hear it back. So maybe I'm, playing around with a script for a social video that I'm creating, or I'm just testing out these stock voices to see if I want to use them for some narration or some scratch narration, whatever it might be. And what I'm going to do, this is specific to storyboard, is I'm going to go into write mode. And now I've entered write mode where I can write text and it's going to show up in some blue font. It's in our script. Nothing's going to happen until I start to initiate some of the key steps of Overdub. The first is I got to create a speaker label. So I'm going to click the plus button, add a speaker label. Here I can do one of a couple things. I could create a custom speaker label and assign one of our stock voices to it. So I'm going to say Kevin host. Add myself right there. Now I have the speaker label. And what I can do is go into editing of speakers. You see that Kevin Scratch host that I just made right there. There's an overdub voice column, and I'm going to assign one of our stock voices, which if I scroll down to stock voices, I'm going to assign one of these to that speaker label, which means anytime I type in text, it's going to process that text to speech using this voice.
Got it.
So let's go with Malcolm.
Life is like a camera.
Life is like a camera, Malcolm. Thank you.
So true.
All right. So we have that assigned now. Anytime I go in to edit my speakers, that'll be there. I can change that if I ever want to and reprocess. So now, anytime I type in or copy and paste text in, it's going to process and read that in Malcolm's voice. In this case, I'm going to copy and paste from a script that I have written. I lied. I really didn't write this script. But in a few moments, that's going to process for us.
Awesome.
Just change states in this darker blue color and blue underline, so it's processing.
Great. Kevin, while that's happening, maybe it's important to note that right now Overdub is only available in English. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Got it.
It is English only, but I think folks can expect to see Overdub in other languages in the future, for sure.
Absolutely. It's a very popular feature request. So you can go and upvote it on our feature request page. And if you have any other feature requests that you want to add while you're there, feel free to do that. Our team takes it very seriously. We love looking at everything that y'all write. So definitely go check that out.
Cool. So here we have this Overdub audio that's in a temporary state, which means I can make changes to the text and it will change what's read back to me while it's in this state.
Cool.
But we'll click the play button.
And show you the planet and its wildlife as you have never seen them before.
So there's our bud, Malcolm. I can change some of the styling here. And
This mysterious creature hardly ever appears on the surface. Deer are frequent casualties of the harsh winter. But there are more artful hunters drawn here from the surface. The lives of these elephants are dominated by the
planet Earth theme is prominent.
Yeah.
So clicking the speaker label allows us to kind of toggle through some of these styles that we have that are stock and available to all users. You can also create styles for your own voice, which we'll get into when we get into that section. But
Great.
you can toggle between those, choose one, and it'll reprocess in that style, depending on what you're looking for. So that process was relatively simple and easy, right? I'm just copy and pasting some text from a different location, my computer or website, but you can also type in using write mode, create some narrative audio. Same thing, that's going to process for me. And that's because I have that speaker label set up. And you can create your scripting directly in Descript, not having to create it in a different doc or text editing program or app. You can do all of your scripting right here.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm thinking about how key that is to, like, Descript is a collaborative tool. So this is like great for teams when you're working on a script or showing your boss your idea for your little podcast preview or something, and just getting to get edits right in the doc, right in the Descript doc is super cool.
That's right. Cool. Another way, which is just slightly quicker, perhaps less labeled out for yourself, if you're going to replace this at some point, is when you add a speaker label, you could also just choose the stock voice by going down to stock voices and assigning it there. And you'll have the same outcome as I did before, as if I selected speaker label, went into edit speakers and assigned an overdub voice. Same outcome is just, it's going to be labeled Ruth right there in our script.
Cool.
Let's hear this.
I can also type in using write mode to create some narrative audio.
Can you now? Cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. So this is the kind of first level of creating from scratch, right? A lot of times what we're going to be doing too is writing around other media. So it might be other audio or video, and we want to create some placeholders, or we're going to create some narrative sections. Very common workflow in narrative podcasts, or anytime there's a host, really, and you want the host to be interjecting in between different sections of audio or video.
Right.
So let's say we navigate to this composition here. It's our version of a doc, if you don't know, if you're a new Descript user. And here I've brought in some media. This is an interview, and I might want to write in some host narration around it. If you want to learn more about importing and transcribing, please check out help.descript.com or click this little question mark here and go to our help center. But I've brought in this audio. It's 2 different audio files from an interview, and I'm just going to start writing around it. There's a couple things that I'm going to want to do first, is similar to that initial setup, is I'm going to create some speaker labels. So I could click one of these and edit speakers. It's one way to go in and just add a new speaker that way. I could also just create a new line by pressing return or enter. Click insert and add a speaker label. And then the quick key to do that is just Shift 2 on our keyboard, which creates the @ sign. So if I'm here, I do the @ sign, I can create a new add host as a speaker. Now I can start to write around these selects as I want to.
Sweet.
Cool. So the writing process can be the same. Here we are. Hit something wrong on my keyboard. Keep it in write mode. Make sure we're there. Now this is going
It's
to take
scarier
some...
than typing in front of an audience.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Can I
doing
speed
great.
that up to make it look like I type faster?
I'll do it in the recording, don't worry.
So probably noticed while I was doing that, I skipped a step on purpose. So I didn't assign an overdub voice to this speaker label yet. Just want to show this process, because you can certainly write in write mode and write around all of these selects that we've pulled. And it's going to take up space in your timeline, which is so great for getting a feel for scripting around other media and understanding what the overall length is going to be for your published video or audio. So same thing here. I'll add in a speaker label. Make that host. So now we have a couple host spots. Let's do one more. Use a quick key, Shift 2, @, host, and listening. Cool. So now we have all these sections, and maybe we're working with our team or a collaborator, co-host, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
We can, make some changes to the script before we hear it back. If we wanted to, we could drop in some comments, tag each other, all that. And what we might want to do is process all this to hear it back.
Right.
So we're going to go in, click one of these speaker labels, and we're going to edit our speakers. We're going to change host, which is this one here, and we're going to add a voice. Scroll down to stock voices for now, and choose one. Cool.
Sweet.
So over time, that'll process for us, and we'll be able to listen back all the way through.
Awesome. Cool. While that's processing, somebody asked, what's the difference between a speaker and a voice? So maybe just making like the speaker label to overdub voice connection a little more clear. Could you cover that?
Absolutely. A speaker label is just a label that you can place in your script to dictate who's speaking when. Early on in the process, when you're importing media from outside of Descript, or if you're recording, which we're going to do in a sec, if you're recording directly into Descript, you can add a speaker label early on. So any audio that's included in your script here from that source audio or video, it's going to be labeled out for you. And it's just a label to see who's speaking when, pretty standardly. Overdub voices it's a couple different layers. One is there's a speaker label attached to our stock voices. So if you wanted to create, from nothing, create from blank here using a speaker label, you can make that one of the stock voices. Now, the stock voice speaker labels, those are attached to an overdub voice, meaning anytime you write in Descript in write mode and you have one of these speaker labels enabled in stock voices, it's going to process that audio and create text to speech in these voices.
From their voice. Got it. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And then the last piece is if you have a speaker label that you've just created, you can decide to have it just be a speaker label. So if you type in text, it'll just be placeholder text, overdub text that we don't process into audio. Mm-hmm. Or if you assign a voice to it, whether it's your voice or a stock voice, anytime you type with that speaker label set, it's going to process text to speech in that voice.
Got it. Cool.
So a few
That
different
makes sense.
options, but yeah.
Totally.
Great. So that's it for writing from nothing using our stock voices. That's kind of the gist. It's
Cool.
not going to be much different when we're using our own voice. We're just going to assign our own voice instead of using one of the stock voices. Where it starts to get a little more fun is when we're doing any replacement or addition to what we've recorded.
Right.
And it's going to work both with audio and video, which we're going to talk about in a second. But before we get into replacement, just note that when you're writing and you want to use your own voice, maybe I'll make a new speaker label here. For clarity, we'll call it Kevin Real.
So many Kevins.
And we have that speaker label. We're going to edit our speakers again. And Kevin Real here, or maybe we say Kevin Overdub. That's the opposite. And then assign my voice that I've created, which I have a number of them. I've assigned my voice to different microphones, different recording environments. We'll get into that when we get into voice training, but I can make many different voices for whatever outcome that I'm looking for.
Cool.
So here this is for the microphone that I'm using now. Here's one that I'm using a Blue Yeti, and you can assign that voice, that overdub voice, to a speaker label. So anytime I'm typing and I have that speaker label set, it's going to process that audio in that overdub voice.
Cool. Makes sense.
Enjoy.
Sweet.
All right. So Christiana, any can you think of some times that you've made something and you were like, oh shoot, I said the wrong thing, or like the day that I quoted, or the year that I quoted, or the name that I used was wrong?
Totally.
Does that happen to you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, so we, in a work setting, like, we say we wanted to like fix up, say me and Kevin had an event happening in 2 weeks and I like said the wrong date. And in the recording of it, I want to say like Wednesday instead of Thursday or something. Like, I think of it in that regard sometimes. But I was also thinking about it just in terms of like podcast advertisements or like sponsorships, like being able to go in and like add a new sponsor to an older podcast episode or something like that, and like not having to re-record with my own voice, but like just being able to type like, a 30-second ad read in Nancy's voice for Hydro Flask or something, So those are some examples I was thinking of.
Oh, totally. That's a great one. I mean, especially if you're someone who's the host or you work on a show and you're selling ad space, or if you're a voice actor and you're getting hired to do ad reads, and you can maybe lighten your load a little bit with how much time you're spending in the studio or in front of the microphone, change out, make little replacements, make little changes. Absolutely.
Totally.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna record something and then we'll do some replacement.
Awesome. Really quick, is that stuff loaded? Because I think people would maybe like to hear your overdub voice.
Oh, of course they would. Sure. Here we go. Here is Kevin's overdub voice. Enjoy.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yep.
There's also those ones that we processed here that was kind of bouncing around between this interview and our stock voices.
We've known each other for 25 years.
And where are you now, Andrew?
Welcome to the show. We'll be chatting with Andrew and Jimbo today.
I'm in Ojai, California.
You're in Ojai.
Cool.
Sweet. Sweet.
All right, so let's make a recording
Awesome.
and we'll get into replacement. So I'm going to go up to our recorder here. Built-in multi-track recorder in Descript. This beautiful detachable window. And I'm going to just record some audio. I'm going to record our Hydro Flask ad and change some stuff out.
Awesome.
So set up my input, speaker label, have an ad read. Boom. Ready to go. Got my settings. Studio sound, of course, always, and I'm solid. Okay. Today's episode is brought to you by Hydro Flask. We love Hydro Flask. Thanks for your sponsorship.
So
we all
true.
love a nice big ad, don't we? So what I'm going to be able to do here is, yeah, we love Hydro Flask for sure. Not Descript, just me and Christiana personally, individually, both have
Right.
giant metal water bottles we carry with us everywhere.
Yes.
But if a company is reaching out to us or an organization is reaching out to us and we have an ad read done and we're like, oof, you know, it'd be really nice to not go back into the studio and re-record that. We might be able to change some stuff. So here we are. Okay. Today's episode is, let's get this edited down. Looking good. So I'm going to do the same process where I'm going to go into my speaker labels, edit speakers, Kevin ad read, and I'm going to assign my voice. Cool. So now, one thing is true, we know, right? Every time I type in some text, it's going to process that in my Kevin Blue Yeti voice. But also, anytime I make corrections to existing media, it's going to use that voice to process the correction. And what that means is if I'm in edit mode in Descript and I delete this, it's going to remove that from the audio, right? That's the magic of Descript. Today's episode is brought to you by We Love. Just skips over that edit that I made. If I select some text here and use correct, what I'm doing is just correcting the transcript, just like what we're reading. You know, that's all.
Right.
Doesn't affect the audio, doesn't affect the video. But the last bit here is the overdub button here, or keyboard shortcut O after I have a word or phrase selected, is I can make corrections to what we're hearing by using overdub replacement. So today's episode is not brought to you by Hydro Flask. No. Who's it brought to you by? Christiana.
I'm trying to think of another. What's another?
Crowdsource this.
Nalgene? Is it Nalgene?
Ooh, Nalgene. Let's see if my voice can do Nalgene.
Is it too tough?
We'll see. I don't know if it's but this is a great opportunity to talk about like pronouncing things with overdub. Sometimes you might want to spell things out phonetically at first, just to get it sounding really great. So even though Nalgene I believe is spelled this way with Nalgene, I might do Nalgeen just to get the overdub voice pronouncing it correctly, and then I can make a correction to the script if I need to later on.
Got it.
Let's give it a shot.
Pro tip. Let's see.
Yeah. So while that's going, in a second, I'm also going to do this with video. And the disclaimer with video is we don't yet have any synthetic AI treatment of our video feed, of our camera's track that we've recorded. So if I'm reading this ad, I'm recording video, and I say today's episode is brought to you by Hydro Flask, but then I change it to Nalgene, my face still is saying Hydro Flask, right? I can't change that yet with Descript. So there's some considerations as an editor that you're making while you're working on this that you just want to keep in mind. If I change a big phrase or a big sentence and with using overdub and I change what's heard, it's not going to look like I'm actually saying that. But maybe a couple small words here and there can be a little bit more transparent.
Totally. That's where the B-roll comes in.
The B-roll, yeah. Cover that up with a nice image.
Yes, a big Nalgene logo.
All right, let's listen to this, see how it goes. We might need to make some tweaks, but we'll see. Today's episode is brought to you by Nalgene. We love Hydro Flask. Pretty okay.
That was good.
Yeah. So you'll see it in the timeline. What happens is our AI is also analyzing the word boundaries. So it created some quick fades and adjusted the boundaries. It added by to the overdub text to make that smoother.
Cool.
And we have that there. What this looks like in the timeline as well is we're able to make changes to this as we're going. So I could say today's episode is brought to you by any other company, organization, person, whatever. It'll process and we'll get that back in overdub. But once we're ready and maybe want to start doing some like production work or mixing or anything like that, we might want to convert this to audio. So once we're happy with it, we'll click convert to audio and it'll process and change that to audio like we recorded it from the get-go. And it doesn't look like that button's working right now. Wouldn't be live if we didn't discover something.
Exactly.
So we're going to right click it in the script and go to overdub and convert overdub to audio. Now it's just like we recorded it with our microphone. Episode is brought to you by Nalgene. We love Hydro Flask. We might change that other one too. Now that it's audio, I can select that clip here, add audio effects, adjust the clip volume, all the stuff that we can do in Descript.
Cool.
Sweet.
Very cool.
Looking good. All right. So we do a video one?
Let's do it.
Great. Let me know if there's any good questions we can check out as we're going.
Totally. Yeah, I see one right now.
Great.
Paul says, is there a way to fix the pronunciation on commonly mispronounced words, like a pronunciation dictionary, or do I have to spell mispronounced words phonetically every time?
Great question. Phonetically is going to be your best bet for things that are commonly mispronounced.
Got it.
I'll also say when we get into talking about our training data, the audio and the media that you use to train your own voice, which we're going to check out next, is important. So
Totally.
Using as many of those words as you can, having a variety of the words that might be included in the audio or video that you're going to be creating or correcting later on is important.
Right.
The consistency and quality of the audio is really important as well. And the amount is important too. We do accept as little as 10 minutes in your training data,
Right.
but getting up to 30, 60 minutes, some of my voices I've trained with a couple hours of audio, and I'll constantly update it and retrain it to have it be more accurate or use the most, the current model. So
Totally.
There's a lot of considerations to take in.
And does that help? A little while up in the chat, people were talking about like roboticness of overdub voices. And so is that the same with pronunciation? The more training data you have, the more smooth and natural it'll sound.
Yeah, if you're creating a voice with 10 minutes of audio, you might get some pretty good results depending on the source material. But if you start using 30 or 60 minutes of really great audio, high quality, but in the vein of what you're going to be creating or replacing,
right?
And then with the vocabulary that you're going to be using is really important.
Cool.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Cool. Awesome. And we'll chat. We're going to dive into creating your voice in just a little bit, so we'll cover all that good stuff.
Cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
The great thing too is, thanks Marcelo for this reminder. We're going to talk about styles in a second when we're creating our voices. You can create styles as well. So you have this larger section of audio or video that you've trained and created your voice from, but you can also create sections if you change the way you speak. So you can kind of custom create your styles to change as you're writing and creating overdub. You You can also create many different voices. So you
Right.
could create one voice for a certain style, even that has 60 minutes. You could create another style that has like up to 60 minutes of audio or video for training.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
So you're saying I could create Christiana's spooky voice
Just in
and
time
read
for Halloween.
a whole script in a
Spooky voice.
Yes, exactly. That's where my brain went.
Yeah, so you can put your speaker on your porch for trick-or-treating and play it when people are walking by and really
It's not a bad idea.
scare them.
There you go. Free idea for the crowd.
There it is. Okay, let's record some video. So I'm going to use the built-in camera recorder here. And boom, we got that. You won't be able to see that in the screen share right now, but I do have a camera window separate from the Descript window. That is me. I have my audio input set up. I'm going to Kevin add read, which isn't allowing me to add. Let's try that. All right. Doesn't seem to be working. We're going to move on, but we'll get to it. All right. So we're going to record some video. Hey, Christiana. Thanks for hosting this webinar today. Happy to be here.
Beautiful.
Press stop. It's going to process for me. You can see this composition just change into a video composition also. Hey, Christiana. Thanks for hosting this webinar. All right. So this happens a lot if you're working for a company. Sometimes you're sending personalized messages to folks. This is a way to make this pretty quick. You could change the name at the beginning, or maybe you said something wrong. You really just need to make some corrections to something that you already did, just like with our audio before. I'm going to go through my process. And hello. And I'm going to go back in again, edit my speakers, assign my voice. Try this one. Now, any overdub corrections that I make in the text here, also going to make them using that voice. So again, video is going to be static, right? I can't change the video yet, but we can cover it up with some edits. We can cover it up with B-roll, or we can just accept it. So if I wanted to change this,
Our friend Harmony.
We'll get a nice hello. We'll let that process. While that's going, you might be wondering, like, well, what should I cover this edit up with? Like, how do I use B-roll, and where am I going to get some images that are going to look good? Well, in Descript Storyboard, we have in our media library here tons of stock footage, backgrounds, images and GIFs, stickers, also music and sound effects that you can just take and plop on to your scene here, which is this section with this card, and you can add specific visuals for each of your scenes or each of your videos.
So handy to have that.
So cool. All right. Hey, Harmony. Thanks for hosting this webinar. Yeah. I'm going to change this voice. So this is a time where I'm like not happy with the result. And I'm going to go and change the voice that it's associated with the speaker label, let it process again, and then go from there.
From like a craft perspective, like what was wrong with that voice in your opinion?
It sounded like it pronounced Harmony's name strange, or is likely because I probably never said Harmony in that training when I created my voice. And
got it.
But that's not necessarily the case. It could be a number of things. It could be just I haven't updated that voice in a little while.
Totally.
Maybe I need to bring in some new media and retrain it. Yeah.
Makes sense. Got it. Was just curious.
Cool. All right. Shut. Hey, Harmony. Thanks. Oh, it's still processing. Still processing. We'll come back to that when it's done.
Cool.
It's still in the old version. Cool.
Sounds good to me. We could check the questions.
Let's do it.
Someone asked a great question. What's B-roll?
Oh, awesome. Awesome. B-roll is video that you use as an overlay over your main script or narration or music, whatnot. A lot of the times, the classic definition of B-roll is you have a video interview. Think about a news interview, right? A two-way interview, a host and interviewee talking to each other. And when they're having that conversation, when that interviewee is talking about, the storm that affected them, maybe there's some B-roll footage of the storm that comes up on screen, but you still hear them speaking underneath
in the background. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. And so with Storyboard, our stock library has, you just type in, so say you wanted to find some storm stock imagery, you just type in storm and that would pop up for you to use.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's like that.
There you go.
Or in this case, we're talking about, see if water bottles come up.
Wow.
So
resisting the urge to take a sip of my water bottle. That's like that psychology trick. If you see someone drink water, it makes you want to drink water.
Certainly.
Fun fact.
So we added some B-roll over that. Today's episode is brought to you by Nalgene. We love hydro. And we have that B-roll there that we can mess around with.
Cool.
Come to one of our Storyboard 101 sessions and we'll talk about all of the storyboard editing features and whatnot.
We have one at the end of this month. So now's a good time to plug it. I'll grab that link.
Cool.
So,
let's check this, while you're doing that, let's check this edit out here.
Cool.
Hey, Harmony, for hosting this webinar today. All right, so I'm going to make some changes to this. This is where I might go down in the timeline and extend the original audio that I made right here. You can see. And I might want to actually kind of change what I'm including here. So I might use just the harmony and replace that there and try to kind of tailor this a bit to use the words that I want to use. This takes a little bit of time and practice, but I might only want to use the harmony from here, but use the hey from the original recording, so it's more lined up.
Got it.
That's in a combination with copy and pasting in the text, or you can also do that down here in the timeline.
Cool. Makes sense.
Totally.
Cool.
Boom, boom. I convert this to Overdub media and make some edits here. What I'm doing is just hovering over the edit boundary to collapse some of those sections. So Nalgene. Cool. Let's see what we got. Nalgene. Oops, sorry. Hey, Harmony. Thanks. Hey, Harmony. Thanks for hosting this webinar today. Every time I might go in and say,
the waves.
A little wave. Drop that in.
Awesome.
Hey, Harmony. Thanks for hosting this. And you can finesse it that way. Again,
I might
make some changes to this if I was really editing it.
Sure.
But that's the idea. Yeah.
Totally makes sense. That's cool. Really cool. Yeah, I like that as like an onboarding, like if you've got a new customer or like a new power fan, super fan for your content, and you just like want to send them a little video message, you can You can still personalize it, but still not take up your whole day. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Well, we should jump in to creating our voice. I'm going through
Totally.
that. Sound good?
Let's do it. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And I know time went fast this time.
I know.
While you're switching over to get us set up for going over that, in addition to all of mine and Kevin's other educational events, if you want to learn more about Storyboard, definitely check our Storyboard and Overdub and all of the other Descript things. Definitely check out our YouTube channel. We have something called Descript Tips, which are like little quick videos that'll just give you little lessons on overdub, editing, all of that stuff. Marcelo, who you've been chatting with in the chat and in the Ask a Question section, hosts weekly Twitch office hours. So we will link that in the chat. Definitely go hang out with him on Wednesdays, so tomorrow you can go say hey. And then always at help.descript.com for help and live support to chat with our support team.
Cool.
Sweet. Okay,
Before
let's
we
make
jump-
our overdub voice.
Yeah. Ooh. Before we jump into... Sorry, I lost my screen share somehow. Before we jump into doing an overdub training in the overdub training space, which I'll show you in a sec, you can also do that from within a composition. So if you're working in a project and you have a bunch of media already in there, there's a few things you can do. If you've already created a voice, you can, if you have enough media in the recording, you can create a new style right here. We'll talk about styles in a second. Just note that you can do that within a project. And if you have a big long passage of a recording of yourself as well, you can create a new voice with at least 10 minutes of audio or video.
Cool.
Just by clicking the speaker label and scrolling down to the bottom.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
Sweet. So it's awesome if you have a bunch of stuff already in Descript and you just want to create a new voice.
And so you just select that text and it would learn it from there.
Exactly. It'll automatically create a storyboard training project, which we'll show in a sec, and
Cool.
go through the process of bringing in your media, doing the voice ID, consent statement, and all that.
Got it. Okay. Amazing.
So before we jump to this note, I just want to break down the 3 tiers of plans for Descript real quick, right? So we have free accounts. You have access to Overdub, but only 1,001 vocabulary words, the most used words in the English language. Same for creator accounts, 1,001 vocabulary words, and then pro accounts are unlimited. So you have unlimited vocab and everything that you've seen here today.
Totally. Cool. And maybe that is a good time to quickly plug. I know a lot of people here have never tried Overdub before. Maybe they're even new to Descript. So if you use this code at checkout, you will get a month of Descript Pro for free. So you'll have access to that unlimited vocab, and you can just take that month, try it out, learn, and always ask us if you have any questions. And Marcelo will send that link in the chat.
Cool. All right, so I'm back in my drive view, which is the furthest point back in Descript, right, where I see projects and maybe different drives if I have access to them. See Overdub right here.
Cool.
Creating an Overdub voice is pretty quick, simple, and easy. Click Overdub, go to Create New Voice. You'll see a list of all the voices you have access to here. Create a new voice. And this project pops up. So this is our classic view. Overdub projects for now will be in classic view. And you have these instructions. Definitely check them out, follow them along, watch these in-app videos to give you some tips. But there's a couple options right here. You can bring in media that's already in Descript. So you can navigate to a project and just select all or select all the media that you want to bring in. Using the script, just selecting text and copy and paste it right here. You can also record directly in using the built-in audio recorder. Or you can also import media from your computer or a hard drive.
Got it.
All three of those, the ways to get in audio, video for your training project here that we're going to submit. But just note that you want to try to use audio that's using the same microphone source in the same environment, in the same kind of vibe and speech pattern that you're going to want to use this in the end. You really want to create a match from what you're going to be editing and replacing, creating from scratch in the end to what you put in here. So if I am going to be making corrections to my audio that I record here at home with my studio microphone, I'm not going to use audio of me recorded with my cell phone, like in my car or something, or like outside, you know? You want to use it matching in the timing and pacing and energy that you're going to be using in the end.
Totally. Makes sense.
So you copy and paste that in. What that'll look like after you copy and paste it in is this. You'll have a project here with a bunch of audio, a bunch of stuff that you have in here. I've taken it from different like Zoom calls that I've done here, and any recording. Sometimes I'll leave the Descript recorder going in the background. And when you're done, you have all that there. You'll submit your training data, and if you're selecting a new voice, let me go through that process. I think it's important to see.
Cool.
I've copied and pasted that media into this project, just like that, by using the text. I'm going to submit it, and I'm going to record this consent statement here. I'm going to say, I hereby verify that I, Kevin, am currently speaking, et cetera, et cetera. This is matched both by our AI and a person to validate the voice. The voice must match the audio or video that you're using to train the voice.
Right.
So I couldn't have Christiana read this voice statement and include it in my recording. It would get denied, and I would not be able to make that voice.
Right.
So just note, you will have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that we have the human and the computer verification for people's privacy and security's sake.
Yes.
Cool.
That's it. And then within a day or two, you'll get a notification that your voice is ready, and then you can start doing all of the things that we've been doing in this whole session, replacing, editing, all the above.
Cool. One question. So I know we're in Classic right now, it looks like. Is Overdub in the same place in the Classic version versus the storyboard version? Or maybe we could just go over that real quick.
Absolutely. Yep. Back at your drive view, it's always going to be on the left-hand column right here. Click storyboard and manage your voices or create a new voice.
Got it. Cool. Amazing.
A little trick here that is very cool is I can also share this voice.
Right.
And manage the styles from this view. So first, sharing the voices. If I was producing some content with Christiana and we were both editing and I wanted her to be able to edit some stuff in my voice, make some changes, I could do that. And then managing styles allows me to manage the different styles that I have set up. And the way those are set up is in my training project. I've selected a segment, right click, overdub, and create new style. I need to make sure I select enough media. That's the key.
Got it.
Right click, overdub, create new voice style.
It'd be there. Got it.
There it is. That was too long. That's what it was. I'll create a new style and I'll label it. So I'll find a section where I'm like cheery or melancholy or whatever it might be, and I can label it out. And when I'm editing back in a project, I can toggle between different styles to kind of craft the shape of my overdub voice usage.
Totally. Got it. Yeah. Someone asked in the chat earlier. So is like voice an attitude. And I think what they were asking, like, voice style is sort of like just whatever feeling or like vibe you want to give off from that from that overdub voice. So like Kevin just said, like in this one, he's more peppy or he's excited. And then you can have one which is a little bit more laid back or sad, like he said. So that is how you can kind of think about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you're like, oh, I love the way I'm speaking here, create a new style, use that.
Great. Kevin's favorite voice.
Number one.
Number one. Awesome. Also, so the way that I trained my overdub voice, I was like having trouble accessing like my old podcast. So I was like, okay, I just need to like read something. I'm just going to train it like right now. And we actually have like on our website, I believe, like a script that you can read if you want. So if you're just looking for something, you can just go read that and it'll tell you like you're 5 minutes in, you're 10 minutes in, give you those little checkpoints. Yeah. So if you're in the audience right now wondering how am I going to do this, you can just go, we've got something for you.
Yep.
Cool.
You got it.
Sweet.
The last thing I want to say as well, outside of the Descript app, if you work for a company or organization, we do have an Overdub API that you can access as an enterprise customer. So please reach out to us by going to descript.com/enterprise if you want to learn more about the Overdub API, but a great way to get all of these features tailored to your platform.
Totally. Awesome. Cool. And obviously, a lot of people, this is a big topic, AI, synthetic voice cloning. Different people have different reactions to that, which is completely fair. And we hear all of those. And so if you go to descript.com/ethics, you can check out a little bit more about how we approach this sort of thing, what kind of security and privacy methods we take to make sure that all this stuff is safe and secure. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. Awesome. Cool. Well, this has been very fun. Thank you, Kevin, for showing us all the ins and outs of Overdub. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's been super fun.
It's been so fun. And just a reminder, if you want to get started, you can try out Descript Pro for free for a month with Overdub 101 as your checkout coupon code. It was so great spending this last hour with all of you. Thank you, Marcelo, for being awesome in the chat and the Ask a Question box. Thank you, Isabel, for being backstage and helping us here. And thank you to all of you for being here. Let us know how this was. We'll send you a feedback form in the follow-up email. Feel free to give us feedback so we can keep improving these. But we hope you had fun. We sure did. And we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you all for joining.
Thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
See you soon.